Good morning, Rabbi. Welcome to Breakfast on the Class. Breakfast on the Class today is dedicated in loving memory to Nishmat Chana Bat Yechiel Michal Alevi, sponsored by her son Marvin Jacob. Also dedicated for the speedy and complete refuah shlema of Rabbi Farhi Chana Bat Sima Fega. As well dedicated in loving memory of Ms. Lily Sefer Nishmat Leah Bat Chana. Her philanthropy has reached so many and continues to reach so many throughout the entire world. Dedicated for the speedy and complete refuah shlema Rabbi Eli Abadi Elav Shimon Ben Bazar Fortuné. Also dedicated for the speedy and complete refuah shlema of Yochanan Shlomo Ben Sarah, sponsored by Eliana and Arya Hurizadeh. And finally, the week of cold brew, sponsored by David E. Ash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to do good today and every day. Rabotai, I just wanted to let you know as well that we launched yesterday the Lashon Hara group, Say No to Lashon Hara, where every day you'll get a couple minutes on the importance of Lashon Hara from the book of the Chafetz Chaim, the blue book like they call it, which to Syrians means the Kol Yaakov, but to other people means the Chafetz Chaim book, the Daily Companion. It's a big zechut, and we're launching the project as a refuah shlema for Chana Bat Sima Fega. So if you'd like to join, let us know. We'll add you in the WhatsApp group. It's there in the status. It's there on the Instagram. If anyone wants to find it, you're able to find it very, very easily. The first recording was released yesterday, so as well we'll post that again so that people will have a chance to catch up with us. Let us begin. The parasha this week has many, many different facets to it that are very important. And one of the themes that I want to talk about is something that I think flows through the parasha in very different and beautiful ways. Okay? If I could ask everyone who is listening live to answer Amen, but those who are not listening live, please do not. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nihiyad baro. Okay, let's go. The Gemara tells us as follows: Vayidaber Amonai Moshe lemor, daber el Aaron ve'amarta elav Bahaalotecha et hanerot el mul pnei hamenorah yehiru shivat hanerot. Aaron, I want you to light the menorah. I want you to light the candles. This is how you should light them. Risks Rashi on the spot. Lama nismecha parashat menorah ve'parashat haneseim. Why are we witnessing the smichat parashiot, which means the connection, the closeness of these two parashiot, one to the other? It seems almost as if we're going straight off of the parasha of the Nisi'im, which we read last week, which was the Nisi'im, the heads of the tribes, donating a korban for the inauguration of the Mizbeach. It seems like we're going straight from there into the story of the lighting of the candles. What's the connection between these two things? Answers the Gemara. Lefi kishira'a Aaron. The reason is because when Aaron saw Chanukat Nisi'im, he saw the dedication of the Nisi'im, Chalesha da'ato. He felt terrible. You know why? Shelo haya imahem v'Chanukat lohu v'lo shivato. Aaron had no part in the bringing of these korbanot of the Nisi'im. Not him and not his tribe. If you look, why not his tribe? Because when you count 12 tribes and you have Menashe and Ephraim, right? So who comes out? Yosef and Levi. You got to replace two, right? So Menashe, let's say, goes in place of Yosef. Ephraim comes in place of Levi. So Levi is not there at all. So Aaron felt terrible. Not me, not my tribe. We're not here. We're not represented. Answers HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God said to him, Chayecha, I swear, Shelecha gedolah mishelahem. What you have is bigger than what they have. Shata madlik umetiv tanerot. For you light and you prepare the candles. Now, this conversation is a very interesting conversation. What was Aaron upset about? What was God's way of placating him? What was going on in this story? So the commentators explain something very beautiful. They say that Aaron felt bad, and God said to him, well, you know what? They have a korban. Their korban is only now in the time of the Beit HaMikdash. You have the candles. What do you mean? The menorah candles are lit only also in the Beit HaMikdash. So some commentators explain that that's referring, Ramban and others, they explain that the candle lighting that we're talking about for Aaron is not only the candle lighting of Aaron, but also the lighting of the candles of menorah, which would be done not only in the Beit HaMikdash, but even in Galut and throughout all times. Shelcha gedolah mishelahem. The children of Aaron made up the group that brought us the miracle of Chanukah. Chanukah brought to you by the Kohanim. And the letter C. So the idea is that what you have is more than what they have. Now, it's very important for us to try and understand this. What does it mean that Aaron felt bad that he didn't have a portion in the Korban and the Nisim? What does that mean? Lohu, not him, velo shivto, and not the tribe. What does that mean? What do you guys think? What's it trying to communicate? That God needed to give Aaron a booby prize. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, you didn't get that, we're going to give you this. What are we saying over here? And I think that there's something, in fact, even more perplexing. Let's take a look. The Nisi'im, what was their connection? They brought a Korban, however elaborate it was, they brought a Korban for the inauguration of the Mizbeach. Can I ask you, who brought the Korban that the Nisi'im donated to the Beit Midrash? Aaron and his sons. Remember, at this point, there's not that many Kohanim. People forget that. We think that God said, okay, boom, tons of Kohanim. That's not how it worked. What did God say? Aaron and his children and their children. So when is this occurring? This story is in the beginning of the time in the desert. They're a couple years in. So what do we know, by the way? Aaron, how many sons has he got? 2. How many sons do those sons have? Not that many. Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, didn't have any children. They didn't get married. So there's no kids from them. The other 2 kids, right? Elazar, Tamar, those 2 kids, they have some kids. But what do we know? We know that the only children of the only grandchildren of Aaron that were Kohanim were the ones that were born after Aaron was given this command. So as an example, who was cut out? Pinchas. The famous question goes, why does Pinchas have to get Kehuna? He's already a Kohen. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. Why does he need to be given Kehuna in the story with Zimri? And the answer is because Pinchas was born before the command that Aaron be a... Now what does that tell you? That tells you that the early kids, not. The later kids, yes. How many kids could that have been? Very few. You would need a kid that was 12 years old. Right? That's what you would need, a kid turning bar mitzvah. It's very few people. So all of the korbanot is brought by who? Aaron, his 2 sons, maybe a grandson or 2. So what is Aaron upset about? That they brought the korban. You know what that's like? That's like a rabbi who teaches Torah every day, reads from the Torah, has a Gemara class. He feels very bad. You know why? Because someone donated some Gemaras to the library. Yeah, that guy donated, but you're teaching them. What does this mean? The answer, my friends, is something that it's something that's hard for us to understand. And the fact that it's hard for us to understand is part of the problem. Do you ever have a scenario where you're upset at someone because they really hurt your feelings? And you tell them, I was really upset by what you said, and the guy said, I don't understand, why did that upset you? Isn't that much more upsetting? When the person doesn't even understand, even when you explain it to them, they don't even understand what is hurtful about what they did. What do you, 100% of the time, what do you say? Forget it, whatever. You do you. Aharon, he's making a complaint here. I'm not in this mitzvah, not me, not my shevet. We're trying to understand, what is he upset about? He does all the korbanot. God says, Shelcha gedolah mishalem. You have more than them. Why? Because you like the menorah. What about everything else that Aharon does? So the whole conversation is very difficult to understand. But my friends, the way we will understand the question is really by taking a look at something else that happens later in the parasha. Later on in the parasha, we read, there were these people, the month of Nisan rolls around, the Jewish people bring the korban in the desert, and a few people come to Moshe Rabbeinu and they're distraught. And they say to Moshe Rabbeinu, what are we supposed to do? It's the time to bring the Korban Pesach, and we are Time'im, the Nefesh Adam. We came into contact with a dead body. We're impure. We did not yet receive our purity. What should we do about the Korban Pesach? Anachnu Time'im Nefesh Adam, Lama Nigara. Why should we be left out? Why should we be worse off? Libilti hakriv et korban amonai b'moado. To not be able to bring the korban of God b'moado in its time b'toch b'nei Israel. Vayomer alei Moshe. Moshe says, Imdu ve'eshme'am hayitzaveh Hashem lechem. Stand here and wait. I have my direct line to God. Right? Batman has the bat phone. Yeah. The Moshe Rabbeinu has the Moshe Rabbeinu direct line. He's going to ask Hashem, what's the halacha? Okay. The halacha is Pesach Sheni. We're all familiar. Now, my friends, I want to ask you a question. The halacha tells us, you bring a korban. You know what else the halacha tells us? That if you're tameh, you're not allowed to bring the korban. Are we familiar with this? You have to have a brit milah to partake in the korban Pesach. Let's say you have a guy who, for medical reasons, cannot have a brit milah. I know that you don't know maybe that this exists, but there's a halacha mefureshet brought down in the Gemara, codified in the Shulchan Aruch. Let's say you have a guy, has a son, does brit milah, the kid passes away. Bar minan. Does the second kid, brit milah, passes away. We see that there's something about these kids that if they have brit milah, sakanat nefashot. Let's say he now has another kid. Do we give the kid brit milah? Patur. Patur. Why? He can't. Let me ask you, that patur guy right there, does he bring korban pesach? Kol arel lo yuchal bo. What's that called? Ones rahmana patre. What does that mean? That means if someone does not have a chance to do a mitzvah against their will, rahmana patre, the Torah absolved him. I had yesterday someone who felt terribly guilty in the class. It's such a powerful question. Terribly guilty about the fact that she wanted to honor somebody, that she wanted to honor someone in the family. She wanted to help that person. She wanted to have a relationship with that person. And that person wanted a relationship with her. But it was so difficult, the relationship, that she was falling apart because of this person, the way that they treated her. So she feels incredibly guilty that she's not doing whatever, that kibud avayim or whatever it might be. And I explained to her, and is it possible to do teshuvah? I said, it's possible to do teshuvah, but it's not necessary. Let's say a person has a situation where their father is physically abusive. So you go around to your father's house to give him a cup of water, punches you in the face. You tell him, Dad, I just came to give you a cup of water. He says, you speak like that to me? Puts you in a headlock, starts pile driving you into the ground. I don't know, maybe in a previous life he was a WWE guy. Or I don't know. Right? You go to the hospital, you get a doctor, you fix your arm, you fix your thing. You come back, he hits you with a baseball bat. Do you have any obligation to go do kibud avayim in that house? You don't. By the way, physical and emotional abuse are not that different. I know people whose parents literally killed them. They killed them. Not with their hands. The self-confidence, they put them in depression. They gave them, unfortunately, terrible stress and anxiety. You have a scenario where the person is being harmed by the relationship. You don't have to be there. This person doesn't need teshuvah, because that's the halakha. Does the guy who does not have a brit milah, because he can't have one, does he need to make teshuvah on the fact that he did not bring a korban pesach? He doesn't. These guys, Time'im L'Nefesh Adam. Now, does anyone know who these people are, happen to be Time'im L'Nefesh Adam? Anyone know who they are? Anyone remember?
Sounds like a no.
Sorry?
Sounds like a no.
Nope. Rabbi, anyone?
These are the ones that helped Nadav.
Amazing. There are two people, right, that were called cousins of Nadav and Avihu, right? Elitzaphan, right? They asked them, they said, go inside. They're cousins of Nadav and Avihu, the two sons of Aaron that died in the Beit HaMikdash. Moshe Rabbeinu told them, the Kohanim need to do the Avodah, you stand aside. Someone else is going to come. They went inside to the Mishkan. They pulled them out, they did the burial. Why are they tameh? For a mitzvah. Which mitzvah? For the biggest mitzvah. To deal with someone who doesn't have someone to bury them. What's that called? Met mitzvah, tremendous mitzvah. Is there anyone holier than these impure people? No. What's the halakha? You don't bring a korban pesach. So they come to Moshe Rabbeinu, what should we do? You know what you should do? Sit home and do nothing. Learn the Gemara. I don't know. Do whatever you want to do. My friends, the answer is so beautiful here. Now I want to read you, if I can, just for 1 second. Lama nigara. How do you translate that word? Why should we? What? So I want to read you first Unkelis. Unkelis is the translation on the side of the Gemara side of the pasuk into Aramaic, right? He translated to a language that the people spoke, so they'll be able to learn Torah. He lived at the time of the Second Temple. Okay, he was actually a convert, the nephew of the Roman emperor. Wild story. We'll cover it another time. Ve'amru guvraya ha'inun le, and these people said to him, "Anachna misavin litmei nafsha de'ensha." We misavin means we're pushed aside, litmei nafsha, because we're tameh by touching a dead body. Lema nitmena bedil delo lekarvayat karbana. Nitmena means, why are we being held back? It's not fair. Why are you being moneya? Why are you withholding from us? Does anyone here know what withholding is? If no one does, we got to call the IRS. What's withholding? Withholding is you hold something back. Why should the Korban Pesach be held back from us? Rashi explains, quoting the Gemara, that what did they say? We can't bring the Korban. You know what? Fine. We won't eat the Korban Pesach. But could we donate a Korban Pesach? Could the Kohanim bring the Korban for us? We won't even eat it. Let someone else eat it. But we just want to be part of this mitzvah. Lama nitmena. They looked at a mitzvah not as an obligation that they were patur from, that they were absolved from, not as an obligation that they did not need to do, but as an opportunity that they had been denied. Like a gift that they were being cut out of. Lama nigara is not a statement that's made in the context of Korban Pesach. It's a mindset that's made in the context of Judaism. You don't have a mitzvah, what do you say? Lama nigara. Ugh, why was I not involved? How come I didn't have a part in that? You're patur, 100%. No one's going to say anything. God's, there's no punishment here. Yeah, but there's also no reward. I want to ask you a question. I want you to imagine one of your close friends, gets an incredible deal. Cuts in everybody, all the friends from the friend group on this amazing deal. Everyone's in on this house, building, investment, business, whatever. They each have to put in $1 million, $100,000, $5,000, whatever the number is. And then there's profit to be made. Anyway, you're sitting down at dinner, everyone's talking about the deal, you turn to your friend, you say, what are they talking about? They're like, oh, whatever, I had this deal, came by, I cut everybody in, everybody has a piece. You say, you cut everybody in and you left me out? Now imagine the guy says to you, yeah, I cut you out. You know why? Because you and I are very close. And in order to get in the deal, it costs $5,000, $10,000, $1 million, it costs money. We're so close, I didn't want to charge you money. Would you buy that? Moron. You're not charging me money, you're making me money. Yeah, it costs money to make money. But you lost the opportunity. Every mitzvah has an opportunity cost. There's effort to be expended. You got to wake up and come to shul. You got to open up a Gemara, crack your brains over a language you don't know. You got to keep the halakha. You might have to kosher the dishes. You might have to have someone come, kasher the onion, the oven. Excuse me. Don't kasher any onions. They're much better when they're fried, not kasher. Guys, every mitzvah has an opportunity cost, but it also has the upside. It also has the upside. So we started our question, our parasha, asking a question, Aharon. It's not that I'm giving you an answer to the question. I'm saying the question reveals a flawed mindset. We're asking an Aharon, why do you feel bad? You're not a Nasi. Was Aharon one of the leaders of the tribes? No. So who was bringing the Korban, the Nasi? We're asking a question. They have this Korban. What's the difference? He's going to be the one that's being Makriv. He has the other. Do you understand what I'm saying? The question makes no sense. Why was Aaron upset if he was not a Nasi and he didn't have a piece in that mitzvah? Why are you upset? You also have a business. Yeah, but I could have had more. I could have had more mitzvah, more business. I could have had more profit. That's how a person is supposed to look at Torah and mitzvot. And when we look at mitzvot as opportunities, as profit, as investment with exponential growth possibilities, then we want in on every deal. We want in on every tzedakah story. I remember once, I was in the synagogue and two people came to speak to me at the the end of prayers. One guy came to speak to me. He says, Rabbi, just a little privacy. I thought about something's going on with his, his shalom bayit issues. He says, Rabbi, we have a big problem. We need to solve the problem. What's the problem? The problem is I'm praying and there's all these people collecting money for tzedakah. It doesn't end. 5 people, they're all coming. This one with this one with that, this one with this. He goes, we can't have this. What are we going to do? Anyway, I told him I understand. I get that it's a hassle. We started something in the Beit Knesset to give them some money so that they don't walk away empty-handed. All right, the guy sits down. Thank you. All right, I'll leave it to you, Rabbi. The second guy comes up. He says, Rabbi, we got to do something about 5 people coming every day. I'm like, Fikni now. Another guy? Is that the same thing? Complaining? And listen how he continues. Mark nailed it. He says, 5 people coming every day. We have to figure out a way to help these people. Everyone's coming. It breaks my heart. This one with his daughter, this one with the school, this one with the yeshiva, this one with a mikveh. Everyone's coming. There's so many things we need to do. We have to figure out a system, how we can help all these people. First of all, I gave him a big beracha, because I suspect it was Choshed B'Ksherim. I suspected him when he wasn't coming to be upset. One person looked at the mitzvah and said, there's too many opportunities over here. Too many people are coming with too many problems. And the other guy is saying, what do we do to make sure that we maximize every one of these opportunities? Shema Yisrael. 2 Jews, 2 very different approaches. We learn from the Lama Nigara people who were patur from the mitzvah, who were asking, how do we get involved here? You know what? Even if the mitzvah is not as great as it could have been, even if it's a half of the mitzvah, even if it's a piece, even if I just donated the korban, the kohen brought the korban, he ate the meat, I sat home, I did nothing. This little piggy got none. But I got a sliver of the mitzvah. How can I be involved in some way? Is there any way you could cut me in? I still remember we had a crazy scenario. I have a short list of people who are mad about tzedakah. They love tzedakah. And they say to me, Rabbi, anytime you have a good case, let me know. I always like to be involved. And every once in a while we have something interesting. Somebody passes away. Unfortunately, they're going to cremate him. They don't have enough money. We have the mitzvah of being able to pay for him to get a Jewish burial. So, you have a guy, they buried him. His no family members. He didn't have a stone. He didn't have a tombstone. He didn't have a matzeva. A beautiful mitzvah. But it's rare. Another case, he had someone who, needed a life-saving treatment, not covered by insurance. For a small amount of money, we could pay. The guy would save his life. Save a life. So we get these cases every once in a while, and I post it on this little shortlist group on WhatsApp, and people kind of come in. Anyway, we had one such case involving, I think it was a Holocaust survivor who maybe kind of fell out of his religion because of everything that he saw and all the suffering that he had, and no one could judge him. And at a certain point in his life, he said, I really would like to put on tefillin. So I came to my short list and I said, guys, there's a Holocaust survivor who's asking, he wants a pair of tefillin, we'd like to buy him a pair of tefillin, he's going to put it on every day. Is there a bigger, more beautiful mitzvah than that? But I didn't know and I wanted to respond right away, so I put it there and I put it on social media. If I tell you I was flooded, how many pairs of tefillin were thrown? I mean, bar minan, but you know what I mean, right? Were thrown at me. Yeah, please take this one. Anyway, the story actually went viral. The guy the grandkid sent me a video of him putting on the tefillin. It was very touching. Anyway, guy calls me up a week later. He says, someone just forwarded me that you are collecting money. You want to get a Holocaust survivor pair of tefillin. I said, he's swimming in tefillin. He don't need no more tefillin. Rabbi Rashi, Rabbi Tam, maybe Rabbi Peretz, I don't even know. Other Rishonim, the guy, it's not, we allocated those tefillin to other people. Listen to this is so beautiful. He said to me, he goes, would you mind, could you give me the number? Could you give me the phone number of any one of the people that was part of the original crew who donated money for the tefillin? I said, I don't know that I'm at liberty to give out some people's personal information. I can ask, right? I said, but if you don't mind asking, why do you want to call them? And he said, I have to have a piece of this mitzvah. I'll pay any price. To anyone that was in on that first thing, I'll pay any price to buy out their portion in the mitzvah. He missed the mitzvah already, but he's desperate. Anyway, I said, listen, I'm not going to, I said, there's one or two people that were part of it in the beginning. I could call them. I know that they won't mind the phone call. I called them, they said, forget it, not in a million years. He was willing to pay any price. Not in a million years. You know why? And I'll end with this. Many, many years ago, my father, on Yom Kippur, was at the Beit Knesset. And you know how it is in the Syrian shuls, right? In the Syrian shuls, Anenu Elohe Abraham. Then the Hazan points, the next guy gets it. All the Hashubis, get the Anenu. Some kid, one guy who cannot sing to save his life. Isn't it amazing? Always the guy who can't sing, tone deaf, does the longest Anenu. You ever notice that? Guy with the beautiful voice is Anenu. The other guy's Anenu. It's amazing. Kaparat avonot. Okay. Anyway, so everyone, they're giving out the Anenus to everybody. Comes the last Anenu. It's Yom Kippur. So I think the Chazan pointed at my father, rabbi of the Knis. My father starts saying Anenu. Some other guy, at the same time, starts Anenuing. Right? And it's the verb. Stereo sound, Anenu. Two places. Anyway, my father, I don't even know if he realized, he's singing Anenu, the other guy's singing Anenu. The man stands up, screams at my father publicly on Yom Kippur, telling him to keep his mouth shut up, singing Anenu, what are you doing? Like, shambles, humiliates in public the rabbi on Yom Kippur in his own shul. At the time, we lived in the shul. My father doesn't say anything. If you know my father, the most adami, nicest person in the world. Like I mentioned the other day, it's his 70th birthday. If anyone would like to send in anything, any stories or any letters, appreciation of my father and all that he's done for the community and everything you've learned from him, please send it to Chazak. We're putting it together. Chazak.com. Okay. My father gets up, doesn't say anything, goes upstairs. We lived in the shul. He goes upstairs. People want to pray upstairs. You can imagine, like someone set off a bomb in the shul. My father's very hurt. Upstairs. Okay. Ronnie Safdie, Hashem should give him arichut yamim v'shanim, comes upstairs and he knocks on the door. He says, Rabbi, please, come downstairs. We're waiting. We're not going to carry on with the prayers without the rabbi. It's not right. You should come downstairs. My father said, no, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He goes, I think I'm just going to pray. I'll pray tonight. I'll pray here. He's very embarrassed. Imagine. And then Ronnie said something amazing. Rabbi, I would like to purchase for $5,000 the sachar, the reward that you get for being humiliated publicly and not opening your mouth and responding. Can I buy the zechut that you just had for $5,000? My father says, no, you can't. And then my father went downstairs. Because Ronnie Safdie had reframed this embarrassing situation, this difficult situation, in a way where it was something that was worthy of being purchased for $5,000. Do you understand this point? What made these guys unwilling to sell it? If I told them before the mitzvah, I need the tefillin, the guy calls me up and I tell him, look, if you want, I could ask someone else. They might have said, okay, ask someone else. They might have. But now someone's coming to you and says, I will pay anything for your portion in that mitzvah. What are you going to tell the guy? Sure, I think $2.99 should do it. What are you going to say? Someone expressed to you another way to look at the mitzvot. Sas anochi al imratecha. I rejoice over your words as if I found the biggest treasure in the world. When you look at it that way, you have Aharon HaKohen. He's the Kohen Gadol. He's the one bringing the korbanot. But someone else on the corner of Q and Ocean Parkway, Quentin Ocean Park, he's doing a mitzvah. And Aharon's like, how am I not involved in that mitzvah? The guy can't walk, he's petur. Lama nigara. I can't bring the korban pesach. You know why? Because you did another mitzvah. You did the mitzvah of taking the dead bodies of Nadav and Abihu, great tzaddikim. You pulled them out, you buried them. You had another mitzvah. It was a great mitzvah, maybe greater than the one that you lost. But I need this one. I want this one. I want peace. When we think that way, my friends, not only are our mitzvot done with a greater amount of intensity, amount of intention, amount of connection, but I'll tell you this, the Torah and Judaism becomes easy. Everything that you feel is a burden is very hard and very heavy. Everything that you feel is an amazing opportunity. Somehow your feet get light and you run and you're excited. The same person who kvetches about climbing 1 or 2 sets of stairways to go to shul, I can't hajj, I'm gonna go down, I'll climb the palm building. Give him free tickets to go to a Yankees game. He's climbing stairs like Larry had that. They don't have an elevator, no problem. He's not calling the goy to push the button. No problem, running. Because it's the Yankees. Right? It depends on which season, which month. But right now, he's very excited. Do you understand my point? That's the idea. Lama nigara. Hashem should bless us be'ezrat Hashem. To have that attitude of those people, to have the attitude of Aaron HaKohen, who's desperately asking. He feels so terrible about the Nisi'im, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, don't worry, I got something for you. I'm going to give you something else. Here's a consolation prize. Shelcha gidola mishelahem. And I'd like to end by saying, perhaps, you know what was greater in Aharon than what they had? Not that the lighting of the menorah was greater, although that's a simple explanation. But maybe what God was saying is, Shelcha gidola mishelahem. Yours, the way that you felt so terrible, gidola mishelahem, is greater than theirs. Why? Why? Because you felt bad that you missed out on a mitzvah. The mitzvah that I'm giving you, which is coming from a feeling, I feel terrible I was left out, is greater than theirs. But the Nisi'im also was because they were left out. They wanted to give money, they didn't give in time, so they ran out of time, so they didn't have the money to collect the Beit HaMikdash. So instead, when it came to the Mizbeach, they were able to give early. My friends, the answer is, yes, but by the Nisi'im, they had to lose a mitzvah to feel the pain of not having a mitzvah. But Shelcha, Aharon, your feeling that you lost the mitzvah, that you're desperate for one, that got you a new mitzvah, is greater than theirs, because yours didn't come from having missed out on a mitzvah based on it being your fault. You still want it. Your desire, your tshuka, your cheshek is greater than theirs. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.